What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. And once again, shout out to Philip, but also to Seb, who provided some of the OMD material as well. And we're going through Junk Culture 1984, and the next track is Love and Violence. In general, it sounds like a dichotomy. It sounds like two extremes on different ends of the behavioral and emotional spectrum, which is to say love is devotion and or affection, affinity for something or someone, whereas violence is destructive and physically impactful action. Of course, there can be emotional violence as well. But yes, it sounds like whether you're talking emotion or action, these two things are set apart from each other. But there's a lot of ink that's been spilled over the millennia and many words that have filled the air about how some of humanity's impulses, if they are intense in one direction or the other, they're actually related, so love and hate are two sides of the same coin. I have some misgivings about some articulations of those ideas. I do think there can be a notable distinction and separation between two extremes on an emotional or behavioral spectrum, but generally speaking, that is a commonly put forward idea that love and hate and peace and violence are, because they are part of the same gamut of human possibilities, they are similarly intense, just at other ends of the spectrum, and therefore they are still linked despite being so different. So maybe this will be an exploration of that concept, or of the two concepts independently, and then perhaps describing how they may be similar. Maybe it's just a phrase in a personal narrative or some particular social or cultural scene, so I'll have to pick up what I can on a first listen. This is OMD, the track is Love and Violence, and it's from the 1984 album Junk Culture. Yeah, like horns.
Tears on a heart of stone when she talks. I walk away. Seems to me it's just a waste of time. These are words I know she's heard before. She's a girl. Yes, I want to know. I haven't slept, worrying. I know I promised to come see you, but now I have these things to do. All in all, it seems to me you don't understand subtlety. Shall I make it obvious? Do you really want me to make it hurt? Cuts like a razor blade, every test to put me through. She doesn't talk for days and days. When she She always says that I act real slow, behave like an animal. What am I supposed to do? I'm tired, I just can't let it go. I'm tired, but you refuse to know. It don't make sense. Love and violence. It don't make sense. Love and violence. It don't make sense. Love and violence.
Wow.
It don't make sense.
One of the longest fade outs I've ever heard. That's an awesome tune, and I'll admit it took a minute to begin really sinking in and for me to appreciate it. At first, that almost car horn, there were like two different layers of that. It was like very dissonant and like a bit abrasive. And then as it went on, I heard this like angelic choir, maybe like a synth choir, but certainly like a almost like church choir type of layer in the track. And then I started to understand what it was doing sonically, which is to say there were smooth and elegant sonic parts, love, and very abrasive and dissonant sonic aspects, the violence, and they were brought together. And then I'm hearing the lyrics and I'm thinking, oh, this is sort of an interpersonal snapshot. It's much more narrow. It's, maybe not talking about these concepts in a philosophical, grand scope type of way, but it's articulating some of those ideas in relation to this guy's relationship, which sounds like a frustrating and exhausting one where he is in a relationship where there is bedroom talk, but it's cutting him apart. The other person, when she speaks to him, which is apparently, days in between, but when she does, she's calling him slow and seemingly suggesting that he's just like an animal, like he doesn't get things. So he's in this relationship that has perhaps loving elements, but is also very violent toward him in an emotional, psychological, and maybe even physical way. But it sounds like he's experiencing both dichotomies at the same time, to the point where he's like ready to burst, to like pull his hair out. And as the song goes along, his vocal delivery gets more emphatic, more intense, and more strained and stressful. So it feels like he's living out the relationship in real time, in chronology, over the course of the track. So I feel like the sonics and his vocal performance are encapsulating and articulating the dichotomous themes of the lyrics and the relationship it describes, or they describe. So a really clever tune, even though, again, it took me a minute or two to get on board with it sonically, and then by the end I realized that it is actually a masterpiece. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed that one. I wonder what other people think. Again, OMD is a group that I knew through like one or two songs only going into this deep dive. And then as I went through not only their catalog and realized how many like experimental and very off the beaten path type of tracks they have, in addition to, let's say, their more like radio friendly poppier style tunes. But watching some of the Depeche Mode documentaries and hearing like Vince Clarke talk about how OMD was one of their major inspirations when they got started and did that first album, it's like, oh wow, so like the electronic sounds they were making were influencing other groups that I know better from back in that 80s era when I was a kid. So realizing OMD is so much more than just the little glimpse of them I had has been enjoyable. And even now as we get into the mid-80s, and even now as I've heard some of their tunes that are more, again, like radio-style commercial, it seems like a lot of their stuff was really taking chances and trying different experimental approaches and trying to make works of art beyond just a catchy chorus and a foot-tapping tune. And I think this is a good example. So, a really cool one. I wonder what other people think. Let me know, and I will see you next time. Peace.